This is the review of the 2025 Cadillac Optiq. The Optiq adds to Cadillac's portfolio of all-electric vehicles in a compact two-row SUV, adding to the mid-size Lyriq, the three-row Vistiq, and the much larger Escalade IQ. The Optiq is built on the same Ultium EV platform as all of the other GMs, but size-wise and mechanically, the Optiq is closest to the Chevrolet Equinox EV. In fact, they're both built in the same plant in Mexico. But don't think for a minute that the Optiq is just a glossed-over Equinox. Overall, we found the Optiq to be a much nicer package. We bought a 2025 Cadillac Optiq Luxury One all-wheel drive. The final assembly point is Ramos Arizpe, Mexico. Base price $52,895. We only added the option of the $625 Coastal Blue Metallic paint. With its $1,495 destination charge, total MSRP came out to $55,015. EPA estimates for our all-wheel drive, dual-motor, 85 kilowatt-hour battery are 302 miles, plenty for a long trip. Home charging is quick, but DC fast charging is limited to 150 kilowatts, slower than many competitors, and it means you won't be able to take advantage of the super fast 300 kilowatt chargers on long road trips. The powered charging port works well when the weather's good. I might worry about it a little bit when conditions are icy. It has the standard CCS1 charging port, but for 2026, the Optiq will get the NACS charging port, which will allow access to the Tesla charging network. The Optiq looks great. It has a very sporty, sloping external styling. As we see on other Cadillacs, this vertical stack of LED headlights really look great and make it immediately identifiable as a Cadillac. As you move rearward, you can see the sloping shape, and Cadillac has added the patterned rear quarter panels to kind of enhance that fastback shape. Unfortunately, the sloping roof lines serve as a detriment to some cargo area, access, and visibility. One kind of universal complaint was the exterior door handles. They're not particularly ergonomic, and there's a little bit of a delay to get them to pop out as you approach. The Optiq doors are wide and have a nice swing opening. There's a modest sill, which you have to step over, and the seat height is good, but the sloping roofline requires a little bit of a duck to get in. In terms of fit and finish, Cadillac has done a really good job of making the Optiq cabin look really attractive. There's some really unique patterned fabrics and textures that make it feel special. And Cadillac says the fabrics are produced with 100% recycled materials. Instead of two separate displays for the driver instrument panel and the infotainment screen, the Optiq combines them both into one massive screen that kind of dominates the cabin and controls things like headlights and audio and phone and navigation. Thankfully, there's also a dedicated row of climate functions, which controls nearly all the climate activity and is easy to use. Other operational options include this kind of shortcut wheel next to the cup holders. The problem is that these buttons don't have any feel difference between them, so they're hard to navigate without looking down. There's also a variety of functions on the wheel, but they look and feel very similar, so also kind of take your eyes off the road. The column-mounted gear selector is the same as in other General Motors EVs, and though it takes some getting used to know that you have to pull it towards you before selecting a gear, it's easy to get used to. It's also disappointing that the Optiq is not compatible with either Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. While pairing a phone via Bluetooth is easy enough, you don't have those options. One benefit is that the size of the screen makes the selections very large, so you can select them fairly easily at a glance. In general, between the screen, the shortcuts, the wheel, there's definitely a learning curve to getting used to operating your Optiq. Inside the cabin, there are lots of places to store items, but they aren't always easy to access. Front occupants, for example, have access to this enormous bin underneath this kind of floating center console, but it's not always easy to get to. Great spot for a purse or other items, but you have to reach under. The center console is close, but it's kind of narrow and long, and you need to pull out the top tray to get to the bottom. The center console also features wireless charging, but some of our testers found it kind of odd because it leaves your phone kind of sticking out of the center console, and you cannot see the home screen. There's a very large glove box, but access to open it is from the infotainment screen, and the button is quite small. In general, front occupants found the front seats to be quite comfortable, a good balance between firm and plush. And the contoured seat bolsters and cushion bolsters fit a variety of body shapes very well. There is four-way lumbar adjustment, but the adjustment is a small dial on the door, which accompanies the other seat adjustment functions and is a little bit hard to use. Rear passengers might feel a little bit more constricted than those riding in the front. The rear door opening isn't quite as wide as the front, so you need to step forward just a little bit to get in. And once you're in, headroom is kind of tight. I'm even close here. And the cushion is a bit low to the floor, meaning for adults, your knees will be a bit more bent than in other SUVs, which means you're limited on thigh support. Good things are you can stretch your legs out. The fixed recline angle of the seat back is a little bit high. It could benefit from a little bit more recline. And even rear passengers really get the benefit of the giant sunroof because you can see and get this great view out. The power liftgate for the Optiq can be operated using the key fob, a button on the driver's dash, or by pressing the Cadillac emblem. This last one might be a surprise to first-time users. Once open, it's really a nice kind of low and flush load floor to make getting heavy things in and out easier. And the seats fold almost flat, which extends the cargo area. The real limitation is this sloping roofline. So if you have larger square items, you get kind of limited to about right here, or you're not able to close the liftgate. One thing you will notice is that the Optiq has neither a spare tire or an inflation kit, which has become more and more common. Instead, the Optiq runs on self-sealing tires, which, if you have a puncture, can be driven on for a period as long as the seal holds. The Optiq's dual electric motors, one at each axle, are what provide its all-wheel drive capability, but also produce 300 horsepower. While that doesn't seem like a lot among luxury EVs, electric motors are all about instant acceleration, and that is where the Optiq shines. Whether you hit the throttle pedal kind of gently or really kind of pedal to the metal type, the Optiq delivers super smooth, quick, and effortless acceleration. Other than some wind noise that comes around kind of the sloping exterior at about 50 miles per hour, the Optiq's cabin is really, really quiet. One thing I noticed personally, other than the very beginning of an acceleration, it's also absent of kind of those quirky EV noises. It's a really quiet experience. The Optiq suspension does a really good job of soaking up bumps. Other than some kind of really square-edged impacts at slow speeds, which can come through a little bit harder, most road disturbances are very well absorbed. Handling is also really competent. The steering turns naturally into corners, and the body control is really well balanced. You don't get a lot of body roll. One thing is that the steering is unfortunately a little bit vague. It's kind of detached from telling you what the front tires are doing. And the heaviness of this vehicle you do feel when you're navigating through corners. One area where kind of fashion takes away from function is that sloping body style really detracts in terms of visibility. The high rake of the front windshield and this long kind of flared A-pillar detract forward. And a lot of people felt that the really deep dash, if you will, made them feel a bit detached from the road. When you look rearward, it just gets worse. That rear three-quarter view that you need to merge and navigate in parking lots is blocked not just by the head restraint, but that sloping rear D-pillar, and the rear window is almost non-existent. In terms of safety, the Optiq comes standard with nearly all of the active driver assistance and safety features that we recommend and appreciate. One of the other things we appreciate in the Optiq and other GM vehicles is that the alerts to the driver are conveyed via vibrations in the seat without causing concern to the passengers in the car. And not only do they avoid kind of the beep overload we see in other models, they sometimes can convey which side of the vehicle the obstruction or something might be on. Optiq owners get access to the excellent Super Cruise active driver assistance system for 3 years. Super Cruise combines the adaptive cruise control function with lane centering assist to allow for hands-free driving on pre-mapped highways and secondary roads. It combines that functionality with direct driver monitoring system, which assures that the driver remains engaged. That combination makes it one of the best systems we've tested. Once the 3 years is up, owners will have to subscribe to OnStar to continue the Super Cruise service. We were happy to see that a rear occupant alert system and rear belt minder were also standard. The rear occupant alert works on door logic to remind drivers to check the rear seat, and the belt minder alerts the driver if someone in the rear seat buckles up. 2025 was the first year for the Optiq, and for 2026, the all-wheel drive becomes optional, but also gains 140 horsepower. The NACS charging port is now standard, and a high-performance V trim will debut. All in all, after months of putting the Optiq through its paces on our track and on local roads, most of our testers were left with a very positive impression of Cadillac's smallest EV SUV. For all of the detailed test results on the Optiq or any other EV, go to consumerreports.org.